Okay, good morning guys. My name is Ben. I'll be carrying out your basics of reptile handling today. What we'll be doing is, first of all, I'm going to have a bit of a quick introduction to see who's who, whether you've got any previous experience, any fears or anything that we might need to be aware of before we start with these guys. So, before we do get a start, what we'll do is toilets. If anyone needs the toilet, we've got just outside the door here to the left. Toilets are there. If the fire alarm goes off, please make your way down the stairs, across the hall, and wait in the car park. Teas, coffees, water, anything like that, it's just in the kitchen area at the end of the corridor. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to go through some basic reptile handling to make sure that you can handle our two types of reptiles here safely and effectively. So, we'll have to introduce ourselves and whether you've got any previous reptile handling experience. We'll start with you.
My name is Isabella, and I don't have any experience with animals. I haven't touched any of these.
Right. We'll go through that and we'll get you used to the basics and we'll explain to you how to do that, and we'll go through that and we'll see. We'll get you holding the snake by the end of it.
Okay.
Okay, and
my name's Neil, and yes, I do have experience with reptiles and have held and deal with both of those types of reptile.
excellent. Okay, so we've got both here, so we can go to both of them. So what we'll do is we're going to teach you the basics of holding both a lizard and a snake. Both different methods of holding them, both require different sort of approaches. So by the end of this session, you will both at least be able to explain how to safely hold a reptile for both types of snakes and both lizards. So what we're going to do is we'll start with the simple one. What I'll do is I'll show you how to do it. If you need any extra, any questions, anything like that, give me a shout. If there's anything you don't understand, shout out, we'll go at your pace, we'll cover anything that needs to be covered. With regards to health and safety with these guys, they're not going to bite you. We struggle to get them to bite their own food. Okay, they're perfectly tame. These are handled on a daily basis. We've had them both since they were this big. They've been handled by thousands and thousands of visitors over the past 5 years for the snake, about 6 years for the bearded dragon.
5 years?
She's only 5 years old. She's a baby. She's going to be twice that size when she's fully grown. So we'll start with the bearded dragon. This bearded dragon here, Australian lizard, very commonly kept as a pet. Now these guys here, they're extremely lazy. So what you'll find with these guys is they will sit on your hands quite easily. Now the main thing to support with these is their body and their feet. Don't worry about their tail. It's not a prehensile tail. They can't hang by it. So their tail will just hang wherever they feel comfortable. So the base of the tail you can use to control them. So if they do try to move and run away, the base of the tail you can use as sort of a fixture point if you like. But the main point is all four legs, just supported like that. Make sure you're not bending your hands up and down with regards to this. Now, as we said, they are very docile, but they are quite good climbers if they want to start moving. Now, a lot of bearded dragons in captivity are allowed to sit on people's shoulders. So they may have a bit of an inclination to run up your arm and sit on your shoulder. This one hasn't been encouraged to do that, so should sit still quite happily with regards to that. Now, they don't jump or anything like that. As we said, they're very slow. This one is actually quite calm at the minute because he's been in the car for the past few hours. He's very docile. So they'll sit there like that. As with everything, keep your hands away from their face. So you can see they're very tame. They're not going to bother you at all, but you're more likely to do any damage to a reptile if you touch them in the head area when they're not expecting it. So nice and calm. They're quite happy to sit in your hand purely because your hands are nice and warm.
So they're not going to move at all?
He might move. You've got to remember, he is a living thing. He might move. But chances of him moving anywhere that's going to cause any concern, I'll be with you. If you want to handle him, just hands nice and gentle like that. With him, what we do at the park is he actually sits on the kid's knees.
Is
So
he heavy?
No, not at all. Hardly any weight there at all. Probably weighs about the same as your cup of tea, actually.
Oh.
So very, very lazy here. And as we said, he should be very calm. So if you have any questions before we move on to the snake, we're going to get you involved in a few minutes anyway. So it's very simple with him. Now, if he is moving around, we're not going to put him on the table and expect you guys to pick him up from the table. So he's going to be in the box. So when you're picking him up, it's just scooping him up. So as I said, hand under the base of the tail, scoop him up, just like that. As simple as that. Okay, but you'll get a chance to demonstrate in a few seconds. We'll pop that back on there for him. Now on to this one. Go on, you might. Now this, try not to make a mess of your classroom. This is what is known as a Dumeral's boa constrictor. They're quite a rare species of snake. This one is a female, it's half the size it's going to be. And they come from Madagascar. As we said, quite rare snakes. We've got a pair of these. We just brought the female along today. And they're very slow growing. Now, constrictors are very easy to handle. They're extremely strong. They've got nearly 10,000 muscles compared to a human's 640. So extremely powerful snakes, and they do most of the holding themselves. So you have to do very little with these guys. The main thing to remember is, as we said with the bearded dragon, it's more important with the snake, all the vital organs are in the head. So keep your hands away from the head. She's not going to strike
What happens if you touch her head?
If you touch her head, nothing will happen. As you can see, she's extremely tame. She's well handled. We let 3, 4, 5-year-old kids hold her. She won't bite.
Okay.
So we have to leave the food in her tank overnight for her to eat her food, so you're quite safe.
So she's not hungry?
No, she's not hungry, she's been fed, you're quite safe. But as we said, snakes, they can't blink. So, if you accidentally poke them in the eye, there's nothing they can do about it. So we try and aim to keep our hands supporting the body weight in the middle. That's where the main weight, all the muscle and the main organs are in the middle of the snake. Just let her head do what it wants. She may turn around and come towards you. That's how they smell. She's tasting the air, the forked tongue is them smelling, so she may turn around and come towards you. She's not trying to eat you, she's not sizing you up or anything like that. She's just trying to work out where the heat's coming from. And with most people, it's your neck. Because most people's necks are exposed and that's where the main heat is. So they'll crawl up, it looks like they're trying to eat you, they won't. We won't let them crawl on you, all we want you to do is just to demonstrate that you can handle them like this. And if they do feel like they're squeezing you, don't worry, they're not trying to crush you, she's just holding on. You need to remember that she doesn't have hands. So her only way of holding on is by essentially coiling herself around it. So as you can see, extremely strong, can hold themselves like that. They can hold their body weight, which is what they use from branches and various other areas in the wild of Madagascar where they come from. So what we'll do is I'll pop her back again with her because she's a bit cooler than normal, she's a bit slower, so she's less likely to be wriggling around too much. So we'll pop her in there to keep her quite happy. So, what I want to do, I'm trying to get you guys involved. Because the easiest way for you to demonstrate that the basics, what we'll do is I will show you first, I'll show you again so you're up close, you can see any questions you want, any concerns you've got, we'll go through that. And then all I want you to do is just to pick both of them up out of the box and just basically show me that you know what you're doing, essentially. If there's anything, if you're not sure, anything like that, tell me, we'll go through it, we'll address it. We don't want you peeking up and freaking out if there's something that we're not sure about. So, ladies first?
Yeah, okay.
Excellent. Right, so what we'll do is...
Can I do that one first?
Come out, yep, we'll start with him because he's I say he's the easiest, in fact he's probably the more difficult. Because he's more likely to wriggle around in your hands. So, we'll just over the bearded dragon.
Where do they pee? Down there?
Yep, out the back there. So, as we said, hand under the base of the tail like that. It's not going to pee anyway, it's too cold, it's alright. And then what we'll do is just slide your hand underneath, and then so you've got him sat on your hands like that. Okay? So then slide your hand under the base of the tail, and then slide this hand underneath the front. Is that alright? That's it, then hand under the base of the tail and slide your hand.
I don't think he likes me.
No, it's alright, it'll be alright once he gets onto the wall of your hand. And pick up like that. There you go. Now your hands are warm. He's quite happy to sit there. See? She likes him now. And you can feel the textures of him as well. It's alright, just keep your hands nice and still, he'll be absolutely fine.
Why is he getting big?
He's just relaxing. He's relaxing into your hands.
Okay.
And you can see he's not even bothered about standing up on his own front feet. He's just holding you there. As long as you've got his body weight, he's quite happy to sit there. And this is what they'll do in the wild. They'll bask on rocks, they'll bask on branches to sort of introduce and reabsorb the sunlight. So you can build up their energy. So if you pop it down the box just nice and gently and then slide your hands out from there. Excellent. Simple as that. One down. Now this is the easy one. This one hasn't got feet to worry about. So with her, as we said, so where are we grabbing this one?
Like that?
Yep. Yes, right now, the feeling you'll get will be weird because there's no other animal that you pick up that feels the same way the snake does.
Yeah.
Okay? So, hand in there, hand in there. Do you want me to pass her over first?
Yes, please.
So if I hold her like this, just hold your hands out, just so you know what to expect.
Oh my god.
It's a lot heavier than you expect.
Big.
Right, pop it back in the box. Extremely strong, yeah, this one is. So then just pop her in the box like that. And then all I want you to do is to pick her up from the box, because she's likely to move a bit more like that. So hand in there, and and then pick her up and then pick her straight up. As long as you get her away in areas where she can hold on to things, and then move her back away from the table or the chairs or anything she can hold on to, and you like that, then you can move your hands through her like that. No concerns before your turn?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Right, so I'll ask Neil to come up and demonstrate. You want to pop her back in the box? Okay, Neil can start with the snake. Excellent. Well, not as bad. See, it wasn't as bad as you thought, was it?
No,
You see, a lot of people have preconceptions of it, but they're not quite as bad. True in the deep end, and I'm just going to let you go. Any questions before you pop her up?
No.
So with her, she is a bit livelier, just because you've got the warmth in your hands. And straight up, another hand support her body weight. There you go.
Why is she so cold?
Purely because she hasn't absorbed any heat from an external source. Because they're cold-blooded, they don't emit any heat themselves. So because she's not been in her vivarium, she's not absorbed the heat from it.
So she's not cold?
So she'll slowly warm up as she's been in this room. Basically what happens is they need external heat sources. Because this room is warm, she'll slowly absorb the warmth from this room, and she will then feel a similar temperature to this room. If you left her outside, she'd feel the same temperature as outside. If you sat her underneath the heat lamp, she'd be red hot. Whereas we're warm-blooded, we emit heat, they don't emit any heat whatsoever, and they absorb all their energy and their heat from sunlight and external heat sources.
Because she comes from like
Madagascar?
Yeah. Because it's warm there, will it affect like the temperature?
Yes, she wouldn't survive in the wild here. If we put her out into the forest or wood areas here, she wouldn't survive. It's too cold. And basically her activity, her energy levels would drop to the extent that she couldn't hunt.
How long would it take for her to do that?
It depends entirely on how much food she's eaten prior to being released. Basically how long it would take her to starve to death. So it could take her 6 months, it could take her 2 months. It depends entirely on how much she's had to eat. Which is why we keep reptiles in heat sources, in vivariums, to keep them warm, because the exotic animals that come from more tropical areas won't cope with our. That's why we don't have any real tropical wildlife. So if you pop her back in the box for me. The bearded dragon. And there's hand on the base of the tail. And slide down from Australia. Yeah, these are more sort of desert dwelling lizards.
Do you find them like outside or?
They'll mainly be outside when they're basking in the sunlight, so they'll bask on rocks and things like that, so they can actually eat the same as any other reptile to get their energy. They'll prey mainly on smaller bugs, vegetation, they'll eat all sorts of greens and things like that as well. But as you see, very lazy. Reptiles are designed to, they need to preserve their energy. So they don't expend any energy they don't need to. Very similar to birds of prey and your pinnacle predators really. They don't exert any energy they don't need to, because in the wild it's all about survival. Why waste energy chasing something around unless you're going to eat it?
What do they eat?
This one is, they're about 80% live food, so crickets, grasshoppers, mealworms, things like that, and then the rest of it's supplemented with green leafy vegetables, and they can have the odd small bits of fruit as well. Comfortable with that?
Excellent, yeah, no problem.
Excellent. Right, if you'd like to pop him back in there. Fantastic. It's a bit tidying up as well, look at that. His wife's got him well trained. Excellent. Take a seat from me. Thank you. Thank you. Right, so basically what we've done then is, what were your initial thoughts about holding a snake? Because you were quite concerned at the beginning, weren't you?
Yeah, like, I liked it. I thought I was going to be scared of the snake, but no.
The main preconception people have, and if somebody said to you, go and pick that snake up, would you have just gone and done it?
No.
You need to see somebody else.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of people are very wary of them. They hear snake, they hear tarantula, they freak out, but with a bit of sort of encouragement you can see
that
this.
one's pretty heavy, but I can't imagine the other ones, you know, the long ones that
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, some of the big ones weigh more than a small child.
Yeah.
Very, very powerful,
Oh,
very heavy
wow.
as well. So, any questions before we finish? You both seem quite happy handling both of them.
No, quite happy.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Excellent.
Yeah.